the Bears, who made so many different moves on the O-line to solidify the interior. You got the quarterback. You want to help him out, the young quarterback, get him to an elite level. I couldn't say I'd have an issue with Ashton Jeanty being a Bear at pick number 10.
And flight. Mel, how are you?
I am good, guys. Another year. I'll tell you, it's amazing how fast, when you talk about the 80s, I started in 1979. So it's been a heck of a lot of players evaluated. Some I missed one, some I hit one, but I tell you, it's thousands and thousands of players. It's another great year and a lot of mystery, I would say, in the top part of this draft, outside of the first pick.
Mel, who is the best player you ever scouted or rated over the course of your entire illustrious career?
Well, I'd like to say Waddle, but I will say this.
Jalen Waddle?
Devontae Smith was my guy that year, by the way, not Waddle. Devontae was my guy. I called him the Splendid Splinter, too. But I'd say that the highest-rated player and the most impressive player, and ironically, he probably cost Baltimore the football team by not coming here. That was John Elway. But I still love John. He was the highest rate. I gave him like a 9, never gave it 10. It was like a 9.9999. And he had a rough rookie year, if you remember. Remember, Dan Marino was playing great in 83, and John was struggling a little bit. And all of a sudden, 3 Super Bowls he carried him to, 2 he won. He's MVP of his final game in the NFL. Who could say that? Still playing great football at the end of his career, even though Terrell Davis did help him. But he's MVP of his final game, Super Bowl win. So John Elway, to answer your question, highest-rated player I ever graded in 47 years.
What was the one player that you always look back on, you go, you missed on him, whether it was for the good, that you thought he'd be great, or that you didn't think he'd be great and he turned out to be great?
I'll give you 2. One offense, one defense. Quarterback Jimmy Clausen at Notre Dame. And I've made the point there's been 8 guys in the last, since 1970, I went back to, 8 players, 8 quarterbacks that slid into the late first, early second round, or were rated in my mocks or by my ratings much, much, much higher. Of those 8, 6 were hits, and the only 2 that weren't were Brady Quinn and Jimmy Clausen. I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. Polish Catholic kid here in Baltimore, loves Notre Dame, and I got my 2 quarterbacks. Not that I was shilling for Notre Dame. I was not high on Rick Meyer when he came out. Had him 33 on the board when he went in the top 2 to 3. But with Clausen and Brady Quinn. So to answer your question would be Jimmy Clausen, and on the defensive side, and he reminded me of it every time he saw me. I got a no elbow in the side. Was Chris Spielman. Chris Spielman guy took his shots, and he said when he woke up at 3 in the morning, he had my picture on the wall, would see that picture and do 300 sit-ups, 300 push-ups. He hated me. So I'd say Chris, and I didn't say anything bad. I just had him in the 4th round, not the 2nd, and compared him to Ray Nitschke and all the Dick Butkus and everybody great. But he took exception to that 4th round grade, and so it would be Spielman and certainly Jimmy Clausen.
He played pissed off for the the next decade.
You're the reason.
Yeah.
I'm looking for my residuals in the mail every day. I don't see any. All these guys up there, all these guys that work at ESPN hate me because they didn't have them high enough, or if I had them high and they didn't go high, they say I embarrass them. You can't win if you have them too high or too low. You just can't win with former football players. I found that out.
All right, let me give you sort of a bet or a side that you would be on, because with Ben Johnson, a lot of people are very intrigued, especially with Ashton Jeanty and maybe even Tyler Warren. So if I'm giving you the scenario, the Bears at 10 draft either Jeanty or Warren or the field, which one are you taking?
That's a great question. I was thinking I would take the field, but the more I talk to young Fielding Yates and Louis Riddick and Booger and all my guys in the NFL, I think I might give a shot to Tyler Warren now. I think he's the kind of guy that could possibly. I think Jeanty could be a Raider. It would make sense. Pete Carroll and the running back with Marshawn Lynch, even drafted Rashad Penny in the 1st round. They could not run the football last year. They certainly want to help out Geno Smith. And I think certainly with Warren, Tyler Warren, if he doesn't go to the Jets, I had him going to the Jets. That's why I say a couple weeks ago I would have said no, but now it's Armand Membo is a possibility, the tackle from Missouri, going there to be the right tackle. So to me, maybe it is the tight end from Penn State that's available at that pick number 10.
What do you think of Will Campbell?
I like him. I'm concerned. It's not a concern. He's not within the range for arm length. And if you get into your body, it is. That's what arm length's about. Now, if you do have, and I talked to an offensive line coach about this, if you have quick hands and you get that first punch in, and they said to me, you got to know how to utilize your length. You can have shorter arms, but if you utilize it properly, you're fine. You can have long arms, you don't utilize it. It's not going to make any difference against these guys in the NFL. So Campbell does have powerful hands. He gets that punch in. He's got 4 years of experience for Jaden Daniels when he was there, and, of course, Garrett Nussmeier last year. He could move the right tackle guard, but you're not draft in the top 10 to be anything but a left tackle. But he's out of that range, and you got to have parameters, and you got to be disciplined enough to stay within those parameters and not go outside of it and not look for an outlier. So he would be, if he's a Pro Bowl left tackle, an outlier. And you're not supposed to do that. Bill Polian always screamed at me when he was ESPN, you can't draft outliers. No, you can't do it. Well, that was what he would be. So that's why I say I'm not as high on Will Campbell as maybe some are that don't care about the arm length, but I have to be a little bit concerned because of that. But I still have him like 9th, 10th on my board, so he's still going to be a top 10 to 12 pick on April 24th.
Because we just played sound from Ben Johnson where he says he likes to just look at the tape and not know the measurables.
Right.
So if you didn't know his arm length, Mel, and you were just watching Will Campbell play left tackle, would it be a different grade?
No, because I noticed it. We've talked about it for the last year and a half, and it's been, I just want to see, is it going to be, I said 33. That was my number. I said it got to at least be 33 and change, and it wasn't. And then it became that later in the process. They did the Bobby Brady, stretching, remember, the Brady bunch. So at the end of the day, that's why I said it. 34 is preferable. It's what you want. But I'd say I'd take 33 and change. He's not to that point, but to answer, yes, I think he did get that first punch, and he strikes hard. He does utilize what he has very well. And I give him that. He plays at a high, what I'm talking about, a defensive line mentality. He plays with that. So I think he's going to go, I don't know about 4 to New England. New England's worst case scenario is that Shedeur doesn't go 3. If Shedeur doesn't go 3, they don't get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. So they thought they might get the number 1 player on their board picking 4th. If Shedeur doesn't go 3, they don't get that player. So do they take the tackle like Mike Tannenbaum suggested, Armand Membo? I think that's high for the tackle from Missouri. Campbell was being mocked to them early on in the process. So, does New England trade out of there? I think that's going to be really interesting to see Membo and Campbell, just how high they go.
How deep is the tackle crew this year? Because Simmons is also an interesting guy, but he was injured most of last year. And I think, Mel, he measured short arms as well, did he not?
Well, the thing is, and that's the thing. They're all a little bit of a red flag. I mean, he comes off an injury, a significant injury, October 14th against Oregon, and he had not played against the elite teams yet. He would have had that chance. It wasn't just a gauntlet in the playoffs that Ohio State had. It was that from basically when he got hurt against Oregon on through. There was like a stretch of 9 games where it would have been great evaluation games. Said it was Donovan Jackson who kicked out the left tackle and did a heck of a job. I thought he was their MVP. Without him playing like he did, Will Howard wouldn't have had the year he did, and they would not have won a national title. So Simmons had penalties. He cleaned that up, but he didn't have the full year. Like I say, got hurt October 14th. So you would have liked to have seen him finish out the season. He would have been probably a top 10 pick. Now he's a borderline first-rounder. Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas did not have the year I expected. He was, I thought, banged up late, but he was a little disappointing prior to that. Like I said, Campbell's arm length. Membo was a tackle. You thought guard. Now you say, okay, it looks like he does have the length to be a right tackle in the NFL, maybe even a left tackle. That's why he's emerged as the top guy. Charles Grant from William & Mary, if you want a developmental, very athletic, late developing football player in high school, started to play the game late in high school. Charles Grant from William & Mary, maybe in the 3rd round, would be a guy, if your offensive line coach can get the job done with him and coach him up, he's got a ton of talent.
Mel, I know you touched on Warren, but as far as Genty is concerned, this is a big polarizing topic here in Chicago because if the Raiders do pass on him, like you were saying, that there's a lot of connection there, a lot of people think he would go 6. Mm-hmm. If he's there at 10, there are some school of thought that, hey, it's so deep at running back, fill another need and draft a running back later. But then other people are saying, this guy's too good. Where are you on the Genty debate?
All right, I'll give you what I feel. I have that policy, don't take a running back philosophy, don't take a running back in the first round. I will say this, all those running backs that have gone have been rated high. You rate them on the type of player they are. He's 4th on the board right now for me, 4th. So his grade is at a point where if you're picking 10 and you get the 4th best player, you got to be doing cartwheels. You got to be the fireworks display goes off. So again, I just feel you can get those backs, but I would have no issue. I'm not going to sit here and be crazy and say it's a terrible. No, Ashton Genty is a hell of a football player, and he wants to be great. He gives you everything he has: runner, blocker, receiver. He gives you everything he has. has every time he touches the ball. People say, well, Penn State showed him now. Last time I checked, he went over 100, a little over 100 yards in that game, and they had nobody else to worry about. So and this was a heck of a Penn State defensive front seven, and they had some good defensive backs, even though Winston was hurt most of the year. So for me, yes, if they took him, I would have. I think Vegas has the best shot for Jeanty being the Bears, I believe, Vegas in terms of odds. So to me, yeah, that's where I almost put him, but I have the Raiders because it makes sense for Pete Carroll. They went with Bowers because they had to last year when the quarterbacks were gone. How'd that turn out? They got probably a future Hall of Famer and Brock Bowers that we were like, oh, we'll take Brock. We didn't get Michael Penix Jr. We're all disappointed. You get a great player. So in this case, you get the running back to help Geno Smith with this football team, with Pete Carroll coming in and not being able to run the ball at all last year. And but if he was there for the Bears, despite my philosophy that a lot of people have jumped on that bandwagon, I said that today.
Yeah.
Bandwagon's almost full in terms of people agreeing with me on that. But for the Bears, who made so many different moves on the O-line to solidify the interior, you got the quarterback, you want to help him out, the young quarterback, get him to an elite level. I couldn't say I'd have an issue with Ashton Jeanty being a Bear at pick number 10.
Mel, how do you feel about the pass rushers in this draft?
I think it's a mixed group. It depends who you like. I like a couple guys that people aren't as high on. And Michael Williams is one that people are super high on. I'm a little, I wouldn't say down on him. I didn't test great. He had the ankle injury this year. Love his attitude. Love the way he plays the run. But the best pass rushers to me are Mike Green from Marshall, speed the power guy. Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College, not very big. He could get swallowed up a little against the run. No question about that. But he's got length. He can close. He's athletic, and he was super productive. And he's got great bend. So I love Ezeraku, and I really like Olufemi Aladejo from UCLA. Played inside, then he moved outside. He got after the quarterback. He has length. So he's there. Those are the two, really. I would say, because everybody likes Mike Green, but I would say Ezeraku from Boston College and Oladejo from UCLA are probably, Ezeraku, I think, goes in the first round somewhere now. Oladejo is considered maybe a second, third rounder. So if you want good value, he would be the guy. And David Walker from Central Arkansas in the third round would be a nice pick. And if you want a guy for day 3, maybe Josiah Stewart from Michigan at that point.
Any chance Mason Graham falls to 10?
I know somebody had mocked that. I don't know who it was. Somebody
I think it was Daniel Jeremiah. May have done
I think Mike Tannenbaum had that last week.
Oh, that's right. Tannenbaum did, too.
Yeah, because I was on that show. I was doing that show when he did, and I said, oh, my God, if he's there at 10, are you kidding me? He's the third highest-rated guy on my board, behind only Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, like I say, with Jeanty 4, and then the two quarterbacks at 5 and 6, and then Tyler Warren's at 7, but Mason Graham's at 3. So, yeah, if you can get that guy, great, a wrestling background, plays with that leverage, plays hard. People have said, hey, he doesn't have this, doesn't have that, doesn't look like he's going to be a guy you would take that high. Forget about it. What did they say about Aiden Hutchinson? He doesn't look like the athlete that Trayvon Walker is, and we're going to take Walker over Hutchinson. Look what Aiden's done. So just don't overthink it. Take the guy who's productive and wants to be great and already is great, and that would be Mason Graham. So if he's there at 10, it's a no-brainer. I can't see how I can't say there's no chance because there's always shockers on draft day, but if Mason Graham's there at 10, boy, I wouldn't take me long to make that call.
Yeah. Mel, with your latest intel, who do you have going to the Bears at 10?
Have not yet decided. I'm making calls. My mock 4.0 comes out next Tuesday, the 8th. I have not finished and even come close to finalizing that. I've got to wait and see how a couple more pro days go. But it's going to be like I say, Jeanty will be in the mix. There's no question about that. If I find something for the Raiders, if Shador's not going to the Giants at 3, like some have speculated this morning, if that doesn't happen, then where does Shador go? Do the Raiders take him? The Tom Brady influence there is the heir apparent to Geno Smith, over the running back, and then the running back could drop down to 10. Tyler Warren, if the Jets don't take Tyler Warren, they take Membo or Will Campbell, one of the two offensive linemen. So, then Tyler Warren would be there. So Warren, Jeanty, one of those two, I think, could be in the mix and could be in play there for the Bears.
Yeah. So going back to last year, Mel, we had you on a ton talking about Caleb Williams. That was all the buzz. So knowing now what you saw from Caleb in his first year and knowing now what you saw from Jaden Daniels in his first year, where do you think this is going to go after year one, and especially with the coaching change?
Everything I saw Caleb, when he showed he could play great football. He showed that. He had a stretch where he looked like he was going to be elite, and the offensive line they've addressed. That was an issue. Obviously, you get a third receiver. The running back situation, they'll add somebody there. You know that. They're going to get a defensive lineman, edge, defensive tackle. They're going to get somebody off the edge that can get after you on the defensive side. So they're going to help him out. That team's going to get better. They already are on paper a lot better. So I saw glimpses of greatness. I saw enough signs to say Caleb Williams can be what we thought he would be. Now, Jaden did basically what, like Mahomes, after he redshirted his first year, Mahomes came in and did a great job, and Jaden didn't redshirt. Jaden played right away. Now, everything kind of fell into place, and he improved in the areas he had to. Head up, we said last year, head up, looking at the field, scanning the field. Don't lower the head. Look down when you're running. He didn't do that when you're moving the pocket. He didn't take sacks. He got the ball out. He did everything. So Jaden that happens. It definitely happened. Jaden was special. Can Caleb get to the Jaden Daniels level? Sure he can.
Mal, we appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
Thanks, Mal.
It's going to be a fun couple days.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, guys. Take care, man.
Let's talk again. There's Mel Kiper Jr.